My name is Debbie Otto. I am the director of Hope Family Resource Center in Kalispell, Montana. And I came to this ministry because in 1975, the year I graduated from high school, I got pregnant out of wedlock, and in an attempt to hide what I had done, decided that a $50 abortion was a quick way out of the trouble that I was in. Little did I know that it did solve my immediate problem, but it also sent me spiraling into years of bad decision after bad decision. Within 2 weeks after the abortion, I went to the state fair, and they had babies floating in liquid in all stages of development. And I remember walking down the line and identifying the size and age of gestation that my child was when I had my abortion, and was kind of devastated when I saw it and realized that that was not a blob of cells that were dividing. It was a baby. I could tell by looking at it that it was a baby. A 2-year-old could tell you it was a baby. So I just was so devastated. That wasn't the bill of goods that I was sold. So I stuffed as best I could and tried to go on with my life. I ended up making a lot of really bad choices over the years, but the best choice that I made was the fact that in 1988, I came to Christ. My mom and sister were both Christians, and that had happened kind of late in my high school years, that both of them came to Christ. And I remember them talking about Jesus all the time, and I was just sick of them. I didn't want to hear it. But I always tell my mom that all those times that she talked about God and Jesus, his son who died for my sins, she didn't think I was listening, and I don't think I thought I was listening either. But I remembered, and when the time came in my life that I knew I needed a Savior, that I had made a gigantic mess out of my life, I knew what to do. So I cried out to Jesus. I prayed and received him as my Lord and my Savior, February 1st, 1988, almost 29 years ago, and began a brand new life. But during those years, those early years of my Christian walk, I had confessed my sin of abortion over and over, and I sort of knew in my head that God had forgiven me, but I really didn't know what to do with the grief. I knew God had forgiven me, but I couldn't really find room in my heart to forgive myself. A few years later, I went to a pro-life rally at Central Bible Church in Kalispell, and there was a woman there, and she gave a testimony of having an abortion, coming to Christ, and she had peace and she had joy, and I wanted what she had. And so they were opening this crisis pregnancy center and asking for people to volunteer, and a team of wild horses could not have kept me from that table to sign up and say, how can I help? Well, one of the requirements to become involved with this crisis pregnancy center was that if you had an abortion in your past, you needed to do this recovery study, which I did in, I guess, maybe about 2000, and it changed my life. It was called Forgiven and Set Free, and I have been doing that Bible study with other women for the last 17 years, and seen people grow and blossom through finding forgiveness. And you go through the whole grieving cycle. You give yourself permission to grieve for your child and to talk about who you're angry with, the people that let you down, and the anger you have toward yourself for choosing it to begin with, and the selfishness that we have, and find ways to forgive everyone, including yourself. And there was a point, a real turning point for me, that I realized through that Bible study that by not forgiving myself, I was really, in essence, saying that Jesus Christ's sacrifice was not sufficient to cover that sin. And so I gave myself permission to grieve, I forgave myself, and I went and told my family so that I could move forward and talk about this in public, because by talking about it in public, it has lost its power over me. I'm no longer ashamed and afraid to tell people that I've had an abortion. The statistics show that 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 women of childbearing age have had an abortion. So whether it's you, or whether it's your sister, or your mom, or your cousin, they're members of your family that are missing. It doesn't just affect the woman. It affects the fathers, whether they pushed for it, whether they stood idly by and thought they had no voice in the situation. I know many men will tell their girlfriend that they will support them no matter what they decide. And I feel bad for them because they've been trained by society that it's none of their business. But I can tell you that woman after woman has said to me, if one person had encouraged me to carry this pregnancy, I may have made a different choice. But they're kind of left to their own. You make the decision. But at the end of the day, it's all on you. It's all on you. You're the one who does it, and you're the one who has to live with it. And it's excruciating. There's just no other way to say it. It's excruciating for women. Last year we saw 161 individual people, men and women, and that culminated into right around 1,300 appointments. And 6 people came to Christ in this building. Yay. So we're busy. We're taking care of people and teaching them how to be better parents and better husbands and wives. We're teaching them why it matters to their children whether they're married or not. We're teaching them not to shake their babies. We're teaching them to not smoke when they're pregnant. We're teaching them life skills such as buying real food at the grocery store and how to rent an apartment and how to look for a job, those sorts of things. But really the beautiful thing that happens in this building is relationships are formed long-term because the clients are with us anywhere from 2 to 3 years. And we have a relationship with them, and they know that we love them. They know that we love their children. We know their names. We know how they take their coffee when they walk in the door. They're greeted by name, and they know they're loved here. The other thing I really should touch on is one of the things that we do in this building as well is offer post-abortion Bible study. It's an 8-week study called Forgiven and Set Free. I mentioned it earlier. And it's life-changing. It's a life-changing Bible study. So I recommend it for anyone who has abortion in their past. And there is also a men's version. And we have male mentors who will walk through that with an individual man who has either been apart by choice or just by default. He had no choice and found out later, or was against it and kicking and screaming. He had absolutely no voice in the decision. We have a Bible study for them as well. So anybody that has this in their past, we really do encourage people to get the healing that it offers. And again, it is life-changing. Yes, there is an extra chapter in the men's Bible study that's called Man as Protector. And it talks right to that issue, that men are wired to protect their family. And this is an area where either they can't or they don't protect. And it doesn't feel good to them. It's a really deep wound in a man. So yes, men can come and find the same kind of healing. And again, we do have men that will walk through that journey with them so that they're not talking to a woman about it. They need a guy to talk to. So you either spend your life trying to cover it up and push it down and not think about it and stay in the relief and denial. You're no longer pregnant, you don't have that child, but you have to stay denying that either it was a child, or you have to continue telling yourself that it was the right decision for the moment. So, or you can come down on the other side of the fence, which I'm really grateful that God put me down on that side to find forgiveness and to grieve for my child and know that one day I will, in heaven, be reunited with my child. So I give God all the glory for the healing that He's done and for the work He's given me to do.